Well, Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays? A Christmas tree or a holiday tree? Which should it be? Depends on whom you ask. We've seen controversy, most notably prompted by the White House. It sent out cards, this card, matter of fact, wishing a holiday season of hope and happiness. No mention of Christmas. Some thoughts now on the subject. Sam Teeter hosts the show Majority Report on Air America Radio. Bob Knight is the director of the Culture and Family Institute. It's affiliated with the Christian conservative organization Concerned Women for America. Gentlemen, great to have you with me.
Thanks for having us on.
All right, well, let's start with the holiday card. What do you think, Sam?
Well, listen, as far as the war on Christmas goes, I feel like we should be waging a war on Christmas. I mean, I believe that Christmas, it's almost proven that Christmas has nuclear weapons, can be an imminent threat to this country, that they have operative ties with terrorists, and I believe that we should sacrifice thousands of American lives in pursuit of this war on Christmas, and hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money.
Well, Sam, is it a war on Christmas, a war on Christians, a war on over political correctness, or just a lot of people with way too much time on their hands?
Well, I would say probably, if I was to be serious about it, too much time on their hands. But I'd like to get back to the operational ties between Santa Claus and Al-Qaeda.
I don't think that exists. Bob?
Well, we have
Help
intelligence.
Me out here.
We have intelligence.
You have intel. And where exactly does your intel come from?
Well, we have tortured an elf. And that's it's actually how we got the same information from al-Libi. That's exactly the same way the Bush administration got this info about the operational ties between Al-Qaeda and Saddam.
Okay, Bob Knight. Sam is tying in now the lack of information regarding weapons of mass destruction and somehow moving that into Santa Claus. Help me out here. What's going on? I mean, is this a war on Christians, a war on Christmas? Is this too much political correctness?
Yeah, well, it was first I want to compliment him on his dry humor, but this is actually a very serious subject because a lot of people are waking up to realize that the war on Christmas is really the culmination of a war on faith, and the idea that the public square has to be cleansed of any religious expression, particularly Christian religious expression. At one time, Happy Holidays was a welcome addition to Merry Christmas, so you wouldn't say the same thing over and over again. But a lot of people now see it as a substitute, and it's very gratuitous at times. And it's actually insulting when you're talking about Christmas Day or a Christmas tree, and you can't bring yourself to use the word for fear of offending someone. In the name of diversity, we're a less free country when that happens.
It's interesting, Sam, because, I mean, this is a time where if anything, we want to be even more sensitive to diversity, considering everything that's happening with regard to war on terror. We're learning so much more about different religions, different ethnicities, and trying to become more of one versus being segregated.
Yeah, well, Kara, I mean, listen, I would like Bob to tell me who is the person who has been offended by someone saying Merry Christmas to them. I've never met that person. I don't celebrate Christmas. But if someone says Merry Christmas to me, and I either think, well, it's a little bit odd. It's like me saying happy birthday to you on my birthday. But, no one cares. But I'll tell you this. As we wage the war on the war on the war on the war on Christmas on our radio show, News Corp, Fox News, those people who have started this entire war on Christmas meme, fake war, they're having a holiday party. President Bush saying happy holidays, Tokyo Rose, Laura Bush, saying happy holidays to her dogs in the video. I'm sure you've seen it. I mean, these are the things that we should be talking about when we are waging this war in Iraq. We should be equating it to the war on Christmas. What else would Bob Knight have an opportunity to do? How else would he get on television if he wasn't pretending to be attacked?
This would be funny, except it is serious to a lot of people who have seen their faith cleansed from the public square systematically.
Bob, are you suggesting, Bob, that someone can't celebrate Christmas in America? I mean, tell me about the person who can escape these
get a word in here?
Go ahead, Bob. Go ahead, Bob.
I'm talking about things like in Ridgeway, Wisconsin, where the school children in the public school were told they couldn't sing Silent Night, so they substituted Oh Cold Night. I think when you take Jesus out of anything, it gets pretty cold, so it's apt. But it's outrageous. They had children actually singing a bastardized version of Silent Night.
Well, Bob,
you see
this
Christmas
may come as a
trees
shock to you,
called
Bob,
holiday trees.
But I don't consider Jesus the Messiah. And so if you're going to ask me to praise Jesus, I'm going to be a little offended.
Well,
I don't think the singing of the song, you can find other songs to sing. So what about Silent Night? So what?
So because you're offended, none of those other kids can celebrate the great heritage of Christmas
I'm not the one who said they couldn't do that. No, I'm not the one who
you're a
do
Grinch,
But
sir.
you're trying to
That's
force...
all you are.
Why are you trying to force conversions on people?
Let me ask you guys.
Yes, you are singing a Christmas carol.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you guys about the pressure that's been put on stores. For example, American Family Association called for the boycott of Target stores the weekend after Thanksgiving, accusing the chain of banning the phrase "Merry Christmas" from its stores, a charge that Target denies. Pressure from conservative groups look like it has an impact here. Complaints from the Catholic League. Walmart agreed to create a Christmas page on its website rather than a holiday page. And then Macy's, which is, perhaps more closely associated with Christmas than any other retailer, sent activists a letter touting its use of Merry Christmas in ads and store windows after it was the target of a small-scale boycott last year. I mean, this is pretty amazing, all these boycotts of pressuring all these stores, these businesses, Bob.
Well, these businesses are taking millions and millions of dollars in from Christians in particular and others who celebrate Christmas, giving gifts in the name of the Christmas season, and yet they're so worried about offending people like my opponent here that they don't want to mention the word Christmas. People are sick and tired.
It's a holiday time. I'm not your opponent. But
well,
I do agree with Bob.
Yeah, you are.
I do agree with Bob that I think what should happen is companies should calculate how much money they're getting from people who are celebrating Christmas and provide exactly that much amount of Merry Christmas, because that is exactly how I would want any type of religious holiday to be celebrated.
Would we be having the same argument about Hanukkah? I'm curious.
Would we have the same argument about Hanukkah?
Hanukkah is not the same as Christmas. It's not a major holiday for one thing, and this is the Christmas season. That's why billions of dollars are really being spent. It's Christmas.
Well, it's
let me
also
put
the
it in
winter
perspective
solstice
for a
season,
minute.
too.
I don't know, Bob. People
Just so
might argue that Hanukkah is just as big as Christmas.
Well, no, I would have to agree with Bob.
I would have to agree with Bob on that. And none of them says Hanukkah is as big as Christmas.
No, Hanukkah is not a high holiday. Our high holidays are Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which I'm sure Bob has been protesting why there aren't more Yom Kippur sales or Rosh Hashanah sales. Well, I mean, why shouldn't they be, right, Bob?
Well, if that was associated with that holiday, then maybe I would join you, but it never has been.
Bob,
so
have you ever
issue.
protested Martin Luther King Day not being celebrated? I mean, do you resent when people don't say Happy Martin Luther King Day a month out in advance?
You know what?
Let's put this in perspective.
And Bob, I want you to be able to respond. But what's interesting, the CNA USA Today Gallup poll, the question was, is it okay for people to say Merry Christmas? 88% said yes. 11% said no.
Yeah, well, 96% of Americans celebrate Christmas. So why would we care about the,
what's the war, Bob?
4% that get offended by it? I don't know anybody who'd be offended by someone wishing someone a Merry Christmas.
Why do we care? Why are we making all the changes, Bob? I mean, we do.
Yeah, Bob, where's the war? Where are the battle lines? I mean, you can tell me that Silent Night can't be sung in one school in Wisconsin.
That's just one example. That's not the totality. So don't
what
create
is the
that
totality?
man.
The totality is 80. You brought it up. The totality is 88% of the American population has no problem with it. You don't care about the people who don't celebrate Christmas. Fine. But I don't celebrate Christmas, and I don't care. So why are we wasting everybody's time? It's so that you can fundraise. That's why, Bob.
I'd like to put this in perspective.
Bob, I got to let you have the final thought, Bob.
Okay. You know, when the Nazis moved into Austria in 1936...
Oh, that is offensive, Bob.
They immediately removed Christmas from the schools.
That is
read about it.
Hold on, Sam. Let Bob make his point. Let Bob make his point. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. Maria Trapp wrote the story of the Trapp Singers that's in The Sound of Music. And she said she sent her kids to school after the Nazis took over, and they came home and said, Mama, we can't say the word Christmas anymore. It's now winter holiday. I think that ought to disturb people that we're moving toward that kind of attitude in this country.
The Puritans also outlawed Christmas. The founding fathers of this country would fine you in Massachusetts if you celebrated Christmas at the beginning. So don't talk about Nazis, Bob. I think that's really inappropriate. Why do you have to bring hate to this Christmas and holiday season? That's so sad, Bob.
Well, it's the truth. Sad. You ought to read the book yourself.
Well, Bob, it's just sad that you have to raise Nazis when you're talking about Christmas and the holiday season. And we all know that Christmas actually, Tannenbaum, it's a German holiday. Bob, I'm really, really disappointed in you.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but if you can't understand the force of history...
To bring up
I'm
Nazis,
not
Bob?
you a Nazi.
Oh, God. Oh, who are you calling a
Gentlemen,
Nazi?
gentlemen,
Who are you calling a Nazi?
We got to
sir?
let it there.
I'm not.
We could probably continue.
You are, sir.
Sam Cedar,
I'm offended.
Air America
you're
Radio.
seriously offended.
Bob Knight, Director of Culture and Family Institute. Gentlemen, obviously,
you.
hey, it's a discussion. Everyone's talking about it, that is for sure. Or a lot of people are talking about it, I should say. Now, I'm just curious. Do I say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah? What do you guys...
I'd like to say Merry Christmas.
Don't cut and run from the war on Christmas.
Thanks, gentlemen. Talk to you later.
Thank you.